Open for Biz on Lunchtime Live.
Thanks to Sage. Be the boss of your accounts and payroll.
It's Open for Biz time here, and this week, well, given that the pubs and restaurants and weddings are well back to some level of normality, myself and Bobby Kerr decided to look at the more glamorous side of going out and to head to the famous Brown Sugar in Dublin to hear all about the hair industry. Well, we're here in Brown Sugar with the founder, Mark O'Keefe. Mark, tell us maybe a little bit first of all about the business.
We established 16 years ago. Dublin was, and St. William Street was a very different place then. It was, high. It was booming and flying, and business took off very, very quickly. So we started with one salon, and we're currently up to 7 salons within the group.
So you have 7 salons dotted across all Dublin, is it?
So there's 3 Brown Sugar salons, we have 3 Sugar Daddy Barber salons, and we have a nail salon called Sugar Coated, which is in Frascati Shopping Centre.
How is business?
Now it's very challenging. Dublin is, I suppose, it's going through a period flat at the moment, probably the nicest way to describe it. The energy and the streets themselves are quite different. The footfall isn't there, and overall business is very tough.
For people that maybe don't know the group or outside of Dublin, Mark, describe what it is that you do. It's a unisex salon.
Yeah, so I mean, we specialise in hair and makeup predominantly. We would be, I suppose, very well known for the glamour end of our industry. So we do a lot of events, weddings, red carpet events, shoots, etc. So all of that side of our business is gone. It is starting to creep back in a little bit, thank God, but it's still very, very slow.
Mark, good to see you again. And again, we've spoken before,
Yeah.
but I'm interested in your strategy around, diversification from, I suppose, traditional salons, the fact that you brought in the sugar daddies, the barbers, and now, and I suppose more recently in Frascati, the nails.
Yes.
Are they all very different businesses?
Very different.
Okay.
And I mean, you mentioned the word diversity, and that was really exactly what happened. The second string to our bow, as it were, was Sugar Cubed, and I brought Sugar Cubed in the middle of recession back in 2013 because I wanted to bring a salon in at a different price point. So it was about 40% cheaper than Brown Sugar, but it wasn't about discounting the hairdressing. It was about introducing a much younger, more edgier feel, and that worked really, really well. And then from there, I decided to get into barbering, which, as you know, had a huge boom back again about 6-7 years ago. So I didn't want to miss out on that. And nail salons as well are doing very, very well. So that's Sugar Coated stem from that. So really, I suppose when it comes to the beauty business, I want to have a toe in as many parts as I can.
Yeah, and they say that you should never operate more than one brand, or at least that it's challenging to operate more than one brand. Good job you didn't hear that. We're hearing a lot of anecdotal evidence about difficulties in getting staff.
Yeah.
Obviously your staff here are highly trained.
Yes.
There's an apprenticeship, there's a whole, operating at the standard that you do. So tell me a little bit about that area of your business and the frustrations therein.
Well, it's funny you should mention the apprenticeship because our industry has changed massively over the last few years. We used to have a JLC rate, so there was a fixed price for our trainees, and it meant that we could pay trainees a little bit less because we were training, which obviously had a cost to us. That has been abolished. So at the moment, we have to pay all of our trainees at least minimum wage and train them as well. So it's increased our cost by about 20% for each individual trainee, which again is a challenge within itself. Now there is a new apprenticeship on board, but there's very, very few places available to salons. So you might only have 200 places for the whole people in Dublin to actually put trainees on an apprenticeship. So it's very new, and it's very challenging for salon owners to get their head around how the whole thing works. But look, it's like everything, I'm sure over time I think people get used to it really.
Also, again, it obviously takes time to train people, and by the time you get somebody to a level of competence that you're happy with, and then if the fact that you were shut down for so long that maybe people have gravitated to other industries, those kind of challenges I'm sure are everyday issues with you.
Yeah, I speak to salon owners all the time. I'm very lucky to be involved in the Irish Hairdressing Federation and Irish Hairdressers Federation, I beg your pardon. So I speak to salon owners on a regular basis, and we all have the same problems. So through the different lockdowns, a lot of us have lost staff who just didn't come back for different reasons, but a lot of whom are chasing black market hairdressing because through lockdown it became very popular for people to get their hair done at home because we were closed, and people are still doing that.
Are they?
Yeah, so I think over time it will fade away.
And that's unacceptable, isn't it? Black market hairdressing in terms of it's unfair competition.
Well, it is unfair competition, and obviously people like myself are trying to do things legitimately. So we pay all our taxes, we pay all our rents, our rates, etc. So we have all those additional costs. So we find that a very unfair advantage for people who have none of those challenges or expenses, and they're just obviously pocketing cash to themselves. So we find it very unfair. But I suppose when it's there for some people, it's just very hard to say no, because it is ultimately easy money.
Yeah.
The business of hairdressing, Mark, has changed obviously so much over the years, like from
Yes.
being the kind of wash, cut and colour to, whether it's the T-bar now and the highlights and the extensions and the whole lot, it's totally, I suppose, evolved over the years. Is it hard to, I suppose, get staff that are kind of specialists in a bit of everything, or do you tend to specialise, in hair colourists, cutters? Do you specialise in certain areas?
It's changed, yeah. I think what you alluded to is, like, back in the day, it wasn't unusual to have somebody who specialised in hair cutting and somebody completely different who specialised in colouring hair. What's happened and what seems to be more popular now is people specialise in as much as they can cutting and colouring hair, because they can get more loyalty from the client. So the client will be more quicker to stay with you because you're doing the whole service from beginning to end. And it'd be much more unusual then to go to somebody else, because there's, I suppose, more of a challenge in getting a cut and colour that you like off a brand new stylist that way. So over the years, people are starting to specialise in everything rather than just one specific area.
Yeah, and over the pandemic, like, you mentioned it earlier, where you would have maybe weddings or nights out or parties or different things. People might treat themselves to just a wash and blow dry maybe on a Friday or a Saturday. Has that business gone now?
Pretty much gone. We would still have some of our maybe die-hard clients that were doing it for themselves on a weekly basis, but the vast majority of people who were getting their hair blow dried on a regular basis, whether it was for work or for personal reasons, they don't have that pressure anymore. A lot of people are working from home, so they're not meeting people in the flesh, and then, as you quite rightly pointed out, people aren't going out at the moment, so that side of our business is completely wiped out, and the makeup of our business has been completely wiped out for the last year. It's only very slightly coming back now.
Yeah, you're confident though things are going to come back, aren't you?
Well, I've always been very positive.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can get up in the morning is to think the glass is always going to be half full. But it is without a shadow of doubt the most challenging part of my career to date. The recession doesn't have a patch on this; it really doesn't.
Right.
And everything from even how it feels out in the street to and the lack of people around, everything is just so completely different.
Andrea mentioned there the fact that the salon is unisex now. Somebody follically challenged, such as myself, wouldn't be coming in here, but I would be interested in the sugar daddies, the barbers.
Yes.
So would people tend to go there, or like what's the ratio of male to females in this salon?
It's always been around 10%.
Right.
And even though we opened the Sugar Daddy brand, we've still kind of managed to maintain quite a large male following in Brown Sugar. It's not just about the haircut, it's very much about the experience of coming in and having a nice head massage and back massage, and the experience of Prosecco being served and all those kind of
I
things.
noticed that, and I was going to ask you about that as well, because that's adding value.
Yes.
It gives you an opportunity to increase the price point and all that. So like it's about selling much more than just a wash and blow dry, isn't it?
Well, look, that really when you say something is good value or value for money, it doesn't mean it's cheap. It means that you're happy to pay what you pay because it was worth it. So if you're going to come into Brown Sugar and have a haircut and pay €120 for a haircut, we need to make sure that the whole experience, from the phone calls right through to the shampoo experience, is better than you're going to get anywhere else. So that when you walk out and you do, leave €120 behind the tail, that you feel it was worth every single penny of that. So the add-ons and the extras are very important, and that has been a huge challenge for us, because initially when we came back we couldn't even serve coffee, never mind Prosecco and gin and tonic, etc.
Prosecco, so you can
No, we haven't. No, and
Here for the day.
we've never done any, and we've had people here for the day. But over the last couple of lockdowns, we've been able to bring back more of the luxuries, to try and make the experience somewhat more normal as it's now normal. But even things like we have to have plastic capes, which is something obviously we didn't have before COVID, for hygiene reasons. And all the PUP that we have to wear. It does
all cost.
Well, it's not even the cost. It just takes away from the
Yeah,
luxury
and
feel.
time,
Well,
yeah.
it takes away from the luxury feel, right? So where before you'd have a nice, beautiful silk gown, now you have this plastic bin liner around you. So those things are very frustrating, but very important.
Finally, can I ask you, Mark, about we're here in South William Street at the moment. You mentioned there about footfall in town being down and town becoming a kind of a different place. Is there an upside in the suburbs, in the Black Rock, in the Ranelaghs, that there's more people living there, that you might see the benefit there at the expense of your city centre branch?
Without a shadow of a doubt. I think what's happened through the lockdowns, people have gotten very comfortable staying in their bubble. Right, and their bubble is, you know, their local community, and then wanting to support their local business as well. And you're working at home, so maybe before, if you were in town, working in town, this was almost your local hair salon.
Yeah.
Well, now your local salon is the one outside your, you know, near to your home. So without a shadow of a doubt, our suburban businesses, I beg your pardon, are definitely doing better than our city centre businesses.
Great.
Mark O'Keefe, the founder of Brown Sugar. Thanks a million, Mark,
My
for joining
pleasure.
us here on Open for Biz on Lunchtime Live. I'm looking forward now to that wash and blow dry and the glass of
Anytime.
Prosecco.
You're most welcome. Thank you so
Thanks a
much.
million.
Guys. Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks a million to Brown Sugar. Really interesting conversation there about the business of hair. That's all we have time for.
Open for Biz on Lunchtime Live.
Thanks to Sage. Be the boss of your accounts and payroll.